There is such an extreme level of calm that it makes people look at you as if you were from another planet. Today you will discover exactly how to get there. Have you ever seen that person who never loses their composure? Who in the midst of total chaos, when everyone else is panicking, just takes a deep breath and solves it? While many are sweating during an important presentation, they speak as if they're chatting with a friend. While others are stuck in an argument, they respond with eerie calm. And you know what people say about this kind of person? Man, how does she manage to stay so zen? There's an ancient system created by the most legendary samurai in Japanese history that produces precisely this seemingly impossible kind of serenity. Miyamoto Musashi called it Goren no, the Book of Five Rings. But it's not just a book of military strategy, it's a manual on how to transform your mind into an impenetrable fortress. When you understand how this system works and apply it to your routine, you will never again lose control in a stressful situation in your life. But there's a catch. This system isn't about relaxing and being zen. It's about something much deeper and much more powerful. It's about becoming completely unshakable. Before I show you how it works, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like it below, and comment on a situation where you wish you'd stayed calmer under pressure. This helps the channel reach more people, and your feedback is important for me to improve future content. Thank you very much. Back to the video. Chapter 1. The Mind That Doesn't Move. The story I'm about to tell you happened to an executive named John. John was a brilliant man with an MBA from 2 universities, but with a problem. Every time the pressure mounted, he crumbled. Presentation to the board, a shaky voice. Important negotiation, a blank mind. Conflict with the team, an emotional outburst. The pattern was always the same. Normal situation, complete confidence. First pressure, increasing anxiety. Maximum pressure, complete collapse. Then anger at oneself for having lost control again. John tried everything. Breathing techniques, mindfulness, even therapy. Nothing worked, because he was struggling with something he couldn't even imagine. He was trying to control his emotions instead of becoming someone who naturally doesn't get upset, until the day he discovered why Miyamoto Musashi had never lost a fight in 60 duels. And it wasn't just swordsmanship, it was something much deeper and much more frightening. Chapter 2. The Secret of the Immortal Warrior. Musashi wrote something that changed everything. The mind should be like water. When the water is calm, it reflects perfectly. When it is agitated, it cannot reflect at all. But here's what most people don't understand about this metaphor. He's not talking about becoming zen and relaxed. He's talking about developing what he called Fudoshin, the unshakable mind. In Musashi's duels, men died in seconds. There were no second chances, no time to calm down, no pause for a deep breath. It was life or death in fractions of a second. And in 60 duels, he never lost his composure once. He discovered something your brain hasn't yet grasped. Pressure isn't something that happens to you. Pressure is something you create in your own mind. When you feel pressure, your primitive brain interprets it as a life or death threat. It releases cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to fight or flee. Your heart races, your mind becomes confused, and your hands tremble. You're not reacting to the real situation, you're reacting to what your primitive mind thinks the situation is. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Pressure. John, he found out the hard way. A presentation to the company's biggest client. $2 million at stake. A room full of executives. And the minute he started talking, his mind just froze. It wasn't the presentation that was causing the pressure. It was what he thought about the presentation, the movie he had created in his head. If I fail here, I'll be fired. Everyone will know I'm a fraud. My career is over. This mental movie was more real to his brain than the actual situation. And his brain reacted as if he were being attacked by a tiger. Here is Musashi's first lesson that changes everything. The enemy is not in front of you. The enemy is in your mind. When you understand that pressure is a mental construct, not an external reality. You can begin to deconstruct it. But Musashi went further. He didn't just want to manage pressure. He wanted to become immune to it. And to achieve this, he developed what he called Heijin, the ordinary mind. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Chapter 4. The ordinary mind. Heijoshin means maintaining exactly the same mental state in any situation. Whether talking to a friend or fighting for your life, having coffee or presenting to a board, the mind doesn't change. This doesn't mean being robotic or emotionless. It means that your center, your essence, remains unshakable, regardless of what's happening around you. John began practicing this in a way that seemed crazy at first. He chose low-pressure situations and practiced maintaining exactly the same mental state he had when he was alone at home. Ordering coffee at Starbucks, same breathing, same posture, same calm. Talking to the boss, same calm. Simple negotiation, same focus. The first week was a disaster. Your body fought against it constantly. Your heart raced, your palms sweated, your voice trembled. This is normal. Your nervous system has been programmed to react to pressure for millions of years. You're reprogramming something very ancient. By the second week, something began to change. He noticed he could maintain calm breathing for longer before the system went into alert. By the third week, he spoke in a small meeting, maintaining much the same mental state he had at home. A Stanford University neuroscientist who has been studying stress responses for 18 years discovered something fascinating. When you consciously practice maintaining the same neurochemical state in different contexts, you literally rewrite the neural pathways responsible for the stress response. The brain learns that the situation is not a real threat. One of the mechanisms used to reprogram these neural pathways is exposure to stressful situations. You can't overcome a problem if you don't face it head-on. Don't worry, this doesn't mean you need to leave this video and instantly confront your problem. You need to prepare for it, just as John did, training with smaller, less stressful situations. However, he understood that sooner or later, he would have to face the demons that haunted him. Returning to Musashi's method, Chapter 5, The Productive Void. Heijin was just the beginning. Musashi went further and developed the concept of mu. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not about emptying your mind of everything. It's about emptying your mind of the right things. John discovered this when he finally managed to give a presentation without shaking. But he realized he was still spending too much mental energy thinking about the presentation instead of simply presenting. Musashi wrote, "When the mind is filled with thoughts of fighting, there is no room for fighting." Translation: when you're thinking about how not to get nervous, you can't focus on what really matters. Musashi's emptiness isn't Zen meditation. It's a strategic cleansing of the mind. You remove everything that doesn't serve the present moment and leave only what is essential. John began practicing what he called mental clearing before any pressure situation. 3 simple questions. What do I need to do now? What do I need to know now? How do I need to be now? Anything that didn't answer these 3 questions was out. Worry about the outcome? Out. Fear of others' judgment? Out. Anxiety about the future? Out. All that remained was the task, the necessary knowledge, and the ideal mental state. Chapter 6. The Invisible Preparation. But here began the real problem. Even with Heijoshin and Mu, John still felt like he was fighting something every time the pressure came on. It was as if he was forcing himself to be calm instead of naturally being calm. It was then that he discovered Musashi's third principle. The battle is won before it begins. Musashi never entered a duel expecting to prepare immediately. All the preparation happened beforehand, long beforehand. By the time the sword was drawn, he was already mentally in a state of victory. John realized he was trying to calm himself during pressure situations. It never works. Once the adrenaline has already spiked, once the cortisol has flooded his system, once his heart is racing, it's too late to try to control his reaction. Real preparation happens in the pressure-free moments. He began what he called ghost training. Every day for 20 minutes, he mentally simulated pressure situations and practiced maintaining the Hijoshin and Mu states. Big presentation next week? Every day he visualized himself walking into the room, starting to speak, taking difficult questions, all while maintaining exactly the same mental state he'd had while drinking coffee at home. The brain doesn't distinguish perfectly between real experience and vividly imagined experience. When the real situation arrived, it wasn't the first time he'd experienced it. Mentally, he'd already experienced it